Vidhi and I love Baingan ka bharta. The smoky, creamy aubergine mixed with the classic North Indian curry base is especially special. And if you haven't tried it, it's a wonderful introduction to the world of eggplant and the world of North Indian cuisine. So let's get into this magical dish that happens to be traditionally vegan. We'll start by preparing the Baingan. Slit the Baingan on 4 sides and then add some whole cloves of garlic into these neat little pockets. Traditionally, we use these fatter Baingans, but we are in Bali now, so we are using a narrow one which worked out really well. We'll then roast the Baingan over an open flame. This charring process gives this dish its signature flavor. When we are about halfway through, we'll baste it with some mustard oil. The sizzle is reward enough, but the smell is just incredible. It took us about 15 minutes on a low-medium heat for the Baingan to cook through. What you're looking for is a completely charred exterior and a creamy soft interior. Now we'll let the eggplant cool. You can check by using a fork or a toothpick. There should be almost no resistance. Once it's cool enough to handle, peel off the skin. And then break it up by running your knife through it and transfer it to a bowl. Finally, we'll mash the Baingan and set it aside. Next, we'll work on the classic North Indian curry base. Start by heating some oil in a pan. Once hot, we'll add the cumin seeds and let them splutter. Now we'll add the chopped onions and some salt. Guddu, our cook back in Mumbai, would make an amazing bharta, and he would really take his time to caramelize the onions. So we'll set it on a low heat and let them develop a nice light brown color. Next, we'll add the chopped chili peppers, the roasted garlic that we chopped up, and then some ginger garlic paste. Saute until the raw smell is gone. Then we'll add the turmeric powder, the red chili powder, and some coriander powder. We'll saute for a minute, allowing the spices to cook and release their aroma. Now let's add the chopped tomatoes and some salt. This step of cooking the tomatoes might take some time, so be patient. This gives us some time to talk about proportions. It's usually 1 large onion and 1 large tomato for 1 medium Baingan. The exact weight is not important, but I've put down an approximation because large tomato can mean different things in different parts of the world. It's better to focus on the proportions. Just remember that it's equal parts onions and tomatoes for this curry base. Once you can see the oil separate from the mixture, you can add some water to adjust the consistency. The sides of the kadhai get super hot because of the rising flame, so the stirring motion should push the mixture up against the sides for some extra caramelization. Once the curry base is ready, we'll add the burnt Baingan to the pan and mix it well. Taste to check for salt and add it if required. To finish, we'll add some garam masala. Stir everything together and let the bharta simmer on low heat for about 5 minutes, allowing all the flavors to come together. Finally, we'll add the steaming bharta to a bowl and garnish it with fresh coriander, because that's the law. We'll serve it with a whole wheat paratha. So how did this turn out? Let's see what Vidhi has to say.
Oh my god, this is so good. I just love it. Especially the creamy texture. You know, as a kid, I was not a big fan of aubergine. I would only eat it in the form of Baingan bharta. Now I love it though. Roasting the Baingan does something so nice to the whole dish. It adds this smoky flavor and creamy texture. It's just amazing how certain cooking processes can completely change the original flavor and texture of a vegetable.
The roasted eggplant gives this dish a special taste and texture, but the other parts are the basis of almost every famous North Indian curry. First, you fry the whole spices. Next, you go in with the onions, then the ginger and garlic and the powdered spices, and finally, the tomatoes. This order is important because the whole spices flavor the oil, and then that oil flavors the onions. The onions need to caramelize to add sweetness to the curry, so they go in quite early in the process. Only after the onions have cooked, you add the ginger garlic and powdered spices, which can burn more easily. It's best to fry the spices in fat. It really evens them out, and that's why we add the water heavy tomatoes at the end. The tomatoes add a mild sourness, and most importantly, they are naturally rich in glutamates, which gives food an incredible savory umami depth. The glutamates in tomatoes are the same glutamates in MSG. There are variations based on what you are making, where you're making it, and who's making it. But this order and these elements are the basis of how the magic happens. We decided to make this again the next day, and this time we enjoyed it in a different way. We spooned some of the bharta on a corn tortilla with some fried tempeh that we tossed with whole cumin and taco seasoning, a chunky salsa, a mint coriander sauce, and some lettuce. This was delicious. The explosive bharta, the hearty tempeh, and the fresh salad and sauce made for an excellent combination. Tempeh is a great source of protein and it's super fresh and inexpensive at any local market in Indonesia, where it originates from. But you can use whatever you like. Baingan ka bharta is very popular in the Indian subcontinent, and each state has its own unique take on it. This recipe is closer to a Punjabi style and is the one that Vidhi and I like the most. The Bengali begun pora actually skips the powdered spices so that you can really appreciate the smoky chili and mustard flavors. So if that sounds like something you'd like, you can go for it. What's important is that you give this a try. It's actually easier than it looks, and it's a lot of fun to make this imaginative dish. So give it a shot, because this magical dish could change your life.